Hi Capricorn, this is going to be your reading for July, and I'm going to try to make this quick because my roommate's coming home. And I just kind of like reading when like no one's around. I know that I read at a place, at a store in New York City. It's called Shanti, Bookshop and Crystal Gallery. If you're in New York City, come by. It is located at 230 East 14th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenues. So, if you want to get a reading from me in person, you can do that at Shanti from 4 to 8 p.m. on Thursdays through Sundays. Have some water, because that's important, right? It's Cancer season, and that is opposite you, so it's your house of relationships. What's going on? We're listening to Khruangbin, and that's spelled Khruangbin. Okay, rewind that and play that again. Yeah, so what are we doing? Your house of relationships. First of all, your house of self. If you're Capricorn rising, then things are definitely changing for you in terms of like who you thought you were, who I am, right? It's like, yes, who you are is changing. And it's just kind of like the concept of who you are is changing. And it's almost kind of like you have a new idea or a new perspective about where you're going. You know what I mean? It's almost kind of like you're on a new launching pad right now. And with Pluto being in your first house, it's very much transformational. It's been there for a while, right? For maybe like 12 years or something like that. But maybe even a little bit longer. But, it's just really transforming you, right? Because it's in your first house. So you're kind of like feeling it, especially when these planets aspect each other, right? And Saturn has been there as well, which is your planetary ruler. So it's comfortable there. So it's kind of like you're building things, and there are things that are kind of like being, constructed for you. And it might involve the breaking down, right? Or the erosion of something, or the disintegration of something, or like the, what do we call it? When you make a meal, right? Because you consume, right? When Cancer cooks a meal for you, but it's like deconstructed, right? So some things are being deconstructed. It's like when they're like, it's a deconstructed taco, and you're like, that looks like a hammock or something like that. Anyway, you know how it is in that fancy food world. But yeah, some things are being deconstructed for you, and you're reconstructing some things, definitely. Yeah, Capricorn. Your planetary ruler is Saturn. I'm a Libra, and Saturn is exalted in Libra. I do have that placement, and I'm also a double Libra. So I feel like the weight of Saturn, and I feel like the responsibility that Saturn places on the signs that it is affiliated with. So I understand. And when I was on the train today, there was a person across from me, and they had dreads, right, locks, and they also had on a very small Saturn gold little like what would I call it, a pendant or something like that, right? I thought it was so, I loved it. It was really small though and dainty. I wish that I had worn my Saturn pin in the like celestial hat that I had on today, so I could be like, yeah, I mean, you might be a Capricorn, or maybe you have Saturn in your first house or something like that. Like me. So I have your planetary ruler in my first house. And I also have Pluto there too, so come on with it. All right, Capricorn, here we go. I'm gonna try to keep this quick. I know you like to get to the point, right? You can be blunt. There's some things happening, yeah, some changes. You feel a little bit uncomfortable with the changes that are happening because you almost want to hold on to them, right? Because it's like the changes may not feel like they're ideal right now, but like what changes feel ideal? It's like you're gonna feel a little bit of discomfort in the change. You're definitely getting a new perspective, and you're being tested. Yep. You're definitely being tested in how you like saw yourself and what you saw yourself doing, or like how you identified with yourself. It's like the change that you identified with is not like the change that like you're actually experiencing right now. you know? So I feel like that's something that's going on for you. Let me cut these cards. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and lay them out in an actual spread. I'm not gonna do that 3-card thing right now, just because I wanna, like, you know, get through it. So here we go. Bam. Move the selenite. It's kind of like rough now with you in this reading, honey. Just saying, like, you know, I'm like moving the crystals and shit out of the way. At the bottom of the deck is the 7 of Wands. So the 7 of Wands is talking about, you know, putting aggression into your passions, right? And really thinking about where you're going with your passions, okay? And also just kind of like keeping yourself up, you know, encouraged, you know, staying active, right, with your passions, you know, the things that you're passionate about. Try not to spend too much time not doing them, or like thinking about what you're going to do, you know, just kind of like do things, okay? And then that's going to generate the motivation and the encouragement that you need to do more, right? You're definitely going to experience some obstacles or some bumps in the road, and just it'll be challenging, because what thing that's worth having is easy getting. You know what I mean? And if it's easy getting, then it's easy to lose too, probably, if you didn't have to work that hard for it, right? So what is in the center of the reading for you? The 10 of Wands, which is very interesting, because the 7s are Libra, which is where Saturn is exalted, and the 10s are, you know, it's Jupiter, but the 10s are also the 10th house, which is Capricorn. So we have that energy of learning lessons here for you, Capricorn. We have that energy of feeling like a tug of war, or maybe even kind of like just the ups and the downs, like the teetering and the tottering, right? The highs and the lows, you know, feeling good and then feeling not, having pros and having cons, having good days and having bad days. So you're dealing with that, and it's kind of like, as you're dealing with your good days and your bad days, you know, you find that there's an imbalance there, because you're having to shift and change, and you're having to react to a lot of different things and changes, right? And just you're having to also stay active and take a leadership role with the things that you have a responsibility to, like, act on, right? Even with all of the triggering of the emotions, right? And the emotions triggering you wanting to take action to take care of those things, whatever they are. And this is also relationships too. You might be experiencing a little bit of difficulties in the relationships, and you might even be finding it hard to mix relationships with work, right? Because sometimes you might even just be tired, right? You want to spend some time alone with yourself because you're tired. You're kind of trying to compose yourself. You're trying to, like, relax, that type of stuff. And then, you know, it's just like having a lot on your plate right now. You do. Like, you have a lot on your plate, but it's like you can handle it, you know? It's like, bend, don't break, right? But, you know, there is a sense of power that will be achieved with this, you know, with these struggles, and with having to, like, really enforce your will, okay, and your hidden potential. But this is not hidden potential. This is seen potential. You know, so you're showing yourself your potential by, like, you know, taking action and doing the stuff that you basically have to do. You know what I mean? There you go. So let's look at what the immediate influence is. Strength, right? So it's talking about staying encouraged. It's talking about, you know, having, like, a good ego, right? A well postured spine, right? So it's kind of like, don't sulk, right? Don't hang your head down, you know, chin up, exactly. And then also, you know, you don't want to get into a place of fear where then you start trying to force things out of the need to kind of, like, be in control, you know? So just watch out with that too. You can be gentle, and you can be very, like, thoughtful with your passions, you know? You don't have to be, everything doesn't have to be from, like, this, like, primitive impulse nature, right? Or we're thinking, like, what would be ideal, right? What's primary, right? Your primary whatever. Yeah, that's what we're thinking about. And then the strength card is also just talking about, you know, the power that you have to control your impulses, right? you know, because the Strength card is about controlling the impulse, and then the Tens are talking about like the rounding out, the rounding up, you know, things coming full circle, and it is potential as well, but it is also maintaining a sense of control with all of the things that are happening, you know, outside of you too, right? Because there are going to be some things outside of you that you can't control, and we don't need you getting like beside yourself about it, because it's like, you know, what can you do, right? What can you do? Ow. Look at that. So this is the Ace of Pentacles. This is talking about a chance. This is an opportunity to have something, to materialize something, or this is the potential, did I just say that? Of having something new, right? Or beginning to see something start to materialize, okay? And that kind of like leaves an impression that there is potential with something, right? Beginning stages, or there might have been something that changed in terms of like your money, or in terms of like house, right? That type of thing. Anything that you have, or anything that you can achieve or that you can attain that adds to your life in a material way, that sort of like, you know, is of service to it and makes something easier or makes something worthwhile. You know, the Ace of Pentacles is definitely something being introduced into your life that might be worthwhile, or that is like a change, or, you know, a little bit of satisfaction is coming from this thing being introduced, you know. So in the Sun position here, you have the Hermit, and this is talking about going in and trying to, you know, you have to create some distance so that you can focus on what your goals are, right? And you need a little bit of contemplation, and you just need that space to do those things, right? To make the plan, to get yourself in order, right? And you've got to gather some wisdom about you. And maybe you've come a long way now, and maybe this is saying that you're almost prepared to kind of like initiate in a way that allows you to apply yourself with the wisdom that you have gained from your experience, okay? And this is also, you know, maybe being a mentor to yourself, right? And trusting in yourself as well, where you're going, right? Believing that you are doing what you were meant to do, even if it doesn't mean, even if it's kind of like being behind the scenes in some kind of way, because the Hermit is a little bit behind the scenes with it, right? But it is still, some things are still happening, right? It's fierce. Let's look at this Moon position. So the Moon is talking about your emotions, and it's talking about what kind of like gets to you, what triggers you. I know that word. And, you know, just that, what makes you uncomfortable, that type of thing. How you might be feeling vulnerable to like some sort of like competitive natured event, or there could be something that is teaching you a lesson of camaraderie, or teaching you a lesson of being humble, right? Because the Five of Wands is Saturn in Leo. Saturn being in Leo is restricting Leo from being the star, or restricting Leo from having that sensibility that they can do whatever they want. So this is saying that you can't, that you might just be feeling like you can't do whatever you want. I don't know, you're having some conflict, and this is inner conflict, internal conflict within your conscious, like, right? Or this could also just be you feeling like you've got to do a lot more to stand out, whatever this is. Okay, because it's like there are a lot of people competing for something, or this is like, I want to stand out because it's a 5, right? So it's related to the 5th house of Leo, talking about creation, creativity, and imagination, right? So you might even have to use your imagination and not just go with something that has already been happening, right? Or something that you already know, you know, because the 5s are talking about things that are fixed in your level of consciousness. So it's like doing the same thing over and over again is only going to get you the same results in some kind of way. So it's karmic lessons that you're learning in terms of like being a good sport about things, or also, you know, just kind of like responsibility. Maybe you're learning a lesson of responsibility here, or you're learning a lesson of ego, right? You're being humbled in some kind of way. And it may not be from people. It just may be like, everybody's also going through the same thing. Everybody's also kind of like experiencing some lesson from Saturn, just because it's in the place that it belongs in Capricorn. And then when it goes into Aquarius, the lessons that we're going to be learning are lessons of inclusion. But then we're also going to be learning lessons of diversity, okay? And we're going to be learning lessons of just eccentricity and spirituality and openness to, you know, all things. It's very Aquarius. But also we have to learn more about ourselves at this time. And that's why, you know, this whole COVID-19 thing has separated people, and it's made people have to distance from each other. And then it's also caused some commitments and some institutions and like some work things, some romantic relationships. All of that stuff is like, you know, there were some things that were difficult. And we're all learning different lessons from this experience that we're going through, right? We're all having to get a little bit more involved in our evolution, right? In our narrative. And this also says that you have the ability, right? Because the fives are talking about the abilities as well, to change the narrative. Okay, let's go ahead and look at what's going on in your anxieties. It's anxieties and it's worry about something. So, you know, you're putting a little bit too much time and energy into thinking about something that doesn't really land, right? Or you're kind of like something you're worried about something that's kind of like open-ended, and it's kind of like you just don't have the answer that you want right now. You know what I mean? You're just asking a lot of questions, okay? And you might be a little bit annoying with it, right? If you're constantly asking someone questions, or someone's constantly asking you questions about something, you know? And it could be about, you know, when something's coming in, right? Or when you're going to be able to, when they're going to be able to know, right? Something. And you're like, look, I don't know what to tell you right now. You know, I don't have the information. I don't have the knowledge right now of that or something. There's something with not having the knowledge of something, right? And you're putting aggression into like needing to find out something, because it's almost like you're searching for information, or you're searching for clues, or you're looking for answers in some kind of way. And you just don't have them yet. You know? Right? And you might be feeling like what you know is founded on, like, you know, something that isn't necessarily reliable. So that's what you're kind of like nervous about, right? You're anxious, you're ready to go. You want to get started, but you can't get started with something, right? Okay, anyway, let's look at what's going on in your Mars position. Yep, exactly. You want to get started, but you can't get started. You want something finished, but it hasn't been finished. This is Saturn in Taurus, okay? And Saturn in Taurus is like, Saturn is slow, Taurus is slow. It's like you're fixed. You're stubborn on something. You're kind of like not giving in on what you want, right? Or you're not giving in to something that might be changing for you in terms of work or finances. Yeah. It's almost like you're waiting, and you just need to be very patient. You are being very patient. You're patiently waiting for something to develop, or for something to get into like the next stage, or a higher level of production process development. You know, because then it really seems like it's going somewhere, because you're trying to get a feel and a sense of where something is going in terms of like how you make your money, or how you bring in your earned income, or how you're using it. You know, you're wondering if something is also fair in some kind of way, you know, to you, or you're like, I have to be fair to myself as well, right? You're hoping for a situation to eventually become ideal for you, or to eventually work out for you. You know, there's a little bit of hope and optimism here that you need to kind of like lean into, right? And don't give up. Right? Because I feel like you might be feeling like a failure right now, or you might be thinking like a failure right now. Actually, well, you're thinking like a failure too, but it's because you're feeling like a failure because you're looking at it from like a sense of like how people might measure your success or how people might measure your status, right? And it's like status quo stuff because it's like, I don't know what it is that you're trying to get, but this is kind of like you really want to, you need something that's going to benefit, right, your life in a lesser way. It's not like, I want $1 million, but it's like you might need to like, you're probably trying to save money so that you can get this computer, or trying to save money so that you can get this camera, or trying to save money so you can get this new phone or something like that, or something that you can have, right? Because it's Taurus, so it's talking about, you know, getting something. Let's look at the Venus position. The Venus position, right? Another Taurus card, so it's getting something. So this is 6. This is talking about, you know, reciprocal. You know, something is going to come in, right? You're going to start to feel this energy of like, yes or no, is it or is it not? I need to know now. You know, it's kind of like you're going to get your answer soon enough, and it's going to be one that's going to be good for you, right? Or whatever this thing is happening. This is saying like that you're going to experience pleasure in the way that you're going to be able to afford that thing that you're trying to get, you know, that you're trying to have, right? Because you're waiting for it. You're like, is it time? Yeah, I'm really kind of like tired of this, right? Oh, I'm kind of a little bit anxious, right? I'm feeling very active, right? A little impatient, yes. I'm pacing about it. Spending time thinking about it. Now you're thinking about, yeah, like it being right, it being good, it finally paying off, right? Because the 6s are talking about things that pay off for you, right? The reciprocity of it. Yes, I'm receiving. All right, so let's go ahead and look at your future cards. I'm doing pretty good with reading this quickly. We have the energy moving forward, we have the future, and we also have the ascendant card, which the ascendant card is kind of like where you can start to make this change happen. It's like what you are aware of, because it's like first house, bam, right? That frontal lobe, what's in front of you right now? What can you do right now? What is in the present right now that you need to see? Okay, so let's look at the outcome, the energy moving forward. Yes, the star card. This is an 8, so this is the power of meditation and the power of, you know, clearing out the fog in your mind, the power of regeneration and recharging your batteries. So this is what needs to happen for you too. You might need a little bit of a break so that you can kind of like gain some mental strength back, you know. And this is probably, you know, the power of knowledge, reading, spending some time just like listening, also meditating. The star card is Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus, but then Mercury is exalted. So you've got to clear your mind, you know. You definitely do. And it's like definitely staying confident as well, right? Yeah. You need to also give some space for yourself so that you can think clearly and clear your mind, right? Maybe even going to nature would be good, okay? Right, you need to create a serene atmosphere for yourself when you can. I did it today and I was very happy I did it. Yes. Look, the Wheel of Fortune, Jupiter, things happening, right? Something jumping off, trying to stay on top of things, right? A lot of things changing, right? Are you open for it? Are you present for it? Are you up for the challenge? You know, the 10s talk about that, 10th house, Jupiter, right? Not letting things get out of control, staying in control even when things around you get out of control, because this 10 turns into a 1 when you reduce it, and that's the power of Pluto in the first house of Aries, which also is Mars as well, you know? But then we're thinking of Jupiter, okay? And then we're thinking of Saturn. What are the lessons that you are learning as you go? This could be talking about learning as you go with something. you know? So definitely taking a risk and it paying off. And you know, Jupiter is a benefic. It's a gift-giving type of energy, type of planet, right? And this is Pisces too. So it's like something that's ideal for you. It's Sag, but I'm just saying Jupiter also rules Pisces. Hello. Right? Also, it's kind of like just like, you know, things just going fast, you know? So just be patient, right? And pace yourself too, because you can get tired, you can get really exhausted, right? This could also be like a lot of drinking or something like that. Whoa, abundance, excess, right? This could be excess. So there's one more that I'm gonna pull for you. And it's at the top here. Let's see what it is. Nice. I just talked about Pisces, right? And it just came up. Let me drink some water. Okay, come on, clairaudience. Or clairsentience. Which one is that? I'm listening to they're talking about drinking water or something. The High Priestess came up. It's Pisces. So this is talking about clearing your energy and also healing, right? And this is, you know, leaving one reality and going into the other, you know, just kind of like creating that safe space for yourself too. You know, you have intuitive insight and you have insecurities and you have vulnerabilities and you have a need to connect with, you know, just like your inner self. And this is also inner guidance as well. You know, have you had some crazy ass dreams? Or have you, you know, just had some astral projections or thought about some things like at a random time in your day and you were like, whoa, that was crazy. And also this is like you have a need to escape something. You kind of like want to get out of a situation, right? Because the High Priestess is ruled by Neptune, but it's also Venus is exalted there. Yes. And that's usually that energy of like, no, the High Priestess and the Hangman. So yeah, the High Priestess is talking about, you know, two truths. You know, there's the one that is before you, and then there's the unknown, right? So you're dealing with that. You're trying to wait for something. And you know, there could be something. This could be with a job. There's some unknowns with a job. There's some unknowns with some relationships, probably. You know, like where they're going. Just the uncertainty, right? And being sensitive to that feeling of uncertainty, right? And it strikes a chord with your vulnerabilities. But the High Priestess is a great card. It's like, you know, listening to your intuition definitely pays off. And, you know, your immediate influence is the Strength card. The Sun position is the Hermit. And all of your future cards are majors. And it talks about change and, you know, coming into something. But you've got to clear your energy so that you can receive what it is that's coming towards you. You know, because you've got something good coming towards you here. But you got to clear your energy out, right? Because this is the energy moving forward. And then this is the future, you know, something accelerating. Right? And you kind of like know what that is. You've got to listen to your intuition though, because this is kind of like, you know, it's very important. Right? It's crucial that you listen to your intuition and you go with the gut feeling of something, right? If you really do feel it in you're conscious of something. Anyway, Capricorn, if you like what you hear and you want to get a reading with me, a personal reading, email providencetarotkendrick@gmail.com. My personal account on Instagram is NYCKendrick, okay? Maybe I should pull one Doreen Virtue card for you. I feel like maybe. We'll let it be like a half an hour, right? which is actually pretty good. That's not like an hour and 6 minutes or some shit like that. Or sorry, an hour and 15 minutes. You know, these videos are really for kids, right? They wouldn't understand this. I mean, maybe, but they're not. And you know, I don't really base my readings on relationships either, but like this Mars position could be talking about you like waiting for a relationship to like turn out the way that you like hope it will, and it may not. Or actually some of you it might, for some of you. You just gotta be patient with some people. But you know, if it doesn't, then I feel like, you know, there's something else that you can look forward to, you know. Take it as a blessing when a relationship is kind of like over, you know, and you've been feeling like it was going to be, or you've been feeling like you wanted it to be at some point, and it's like, you know, I mean like a relationship when you're like dating somebody, because it's like, you know, sometimes that stuff gets in the way, and it kind of like can influence the level of encouragement and motivation that you have, because it is, you know, you're reflecting on experiences with someone that make you feel as though the way that they treat you is due to your worth or your value or what is special about you or not special about you. And it's not, because you have to find that for yourself within yourself, right? Within yourself. Okay, definitely. I chose 2 cards here. Right. It says peace. Peace comes from remembering that only love is real, right? And that's the love of yourself. Okay? So when you can love yourself and you can find peace within yourself, then you can find love and peace with someone else. This says spread your wings. Spread your wings. Do not hold back right now. The timing is perfect and you are ready to soar. So, you know, don't hold back. Says you're ready to soar. This looks like someone soaring. Okay. So those were messages for some people. If you like mandalas, then definitely follow Mandala 209 on Instagram. These are some of the mandalas that are made for me, right? And a lovely artist and friend of mine, Stephanie Hymas, who is a Libra, created this. You can follow them. You can follow her on Instagram. She is Stephanie Hymas, and I believe it's Stephanie with a PH. And the last name is Hymas. So, you know, you can get some art from her. You know, just check it out and see. I don't know if she is, you know, doing it that way. But, you know, just reach out on your own. This happened for me. So, yeah. And also, she is Miss Discerning Eye on Instagram as well. That's her tarot page. Amazing. And that's at 333. Or 3333. Okay, yeah, you know, like, share, subscribe, comment. Definitely subscribe if you're watching this. And even if you already have, check it out and see if you are still subscribed. I always can see, as a YouTube viewer, like a YouTube watcher, like avid, like all the time. I can see if I'm subscribed or not subscribed, and I know if I am or not. So, you know, just check it out. See if you are still. If you are still, that's great. Leave a comment, right? If you are not, then hit that subscribe button. And then go over to Instagram and follow me there. Bye, Capricorn.